The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website.
Hello, I'm Jerry Renaud. It's summer, and that means it's time to get out and to get a little physical fitness. And Aging Partners has just the thing for you. It's called Feeling Fit Fridays, and it happens every Friday throughout the summer and into September at the Jane Snyder Trail Center. Aging Partners Tracy Forman will be here to talk about it. Don't go away.
I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we're going to talk about our old-fashioned cameras just like this one, and the fact that they're going to be gone soon. But Jon Keller, the photographer for Ollie at the University and Doane University, will be here to explain the new technology in camera photography. You wouldn't want to miss this one. Please stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Bill Ainsley. We all want to be safe when we're out and about, and one way to do that is to wear a help button. It's one of the things that you'll learn today as you live and learn.
What is your knowledge of the Vietnam War? More than likely, it is based on your generation. I'm Kristen Stows, and my guests use the power of communication to study the Vietnam War through the Vietnam Poetry Project. Please stay tuned as I talk with its director, Chris Maley, and one of the student participants, Jack Buchanan.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Here you see a small snippet of the kinds of activities that are taking place at the Jane Snyder Trail Center at 21st and Q Streets in Lincoln this summer. It's dynamic movement, and it's all part of Aging Partners' Feeling Fit Fridays. Every Friday throughout the summer from noon to 12:45, and it features lots of different activities. Hello and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud. Today we want to talk about those activities, tell you how you can get involved, how you can get registered for those activities, and everything else you need to know about them. We have a wonderful guest with us today. It is Tracy Forman from Aging Partners. She is a community health educator. Thank you for coming down and talking about this today. You are kind of a big part of this.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
Tell us a little bit about Feeling Fit Fridays. It's been going on for a while now. It started earlier this summer.
Yes.
It's going to continue on through September. Tell us a little bit about how this sort of came about and how's it going so far.
Well, Feeling Fit Fridays is a part of the Parks and Rec program called Move More Lincoln. And so along with Community Health Endowment, Parks and Rec and Aging Partners got together, and we do the Friday bit. So Parks and Rec asked us if we could participate, and we were happy to step in and say we'd love to do Fridays. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of spotlight some of the different programs that we have available through our fitness program.
Yeah, and that's a great idea. And we want to talk about that a little bit later today because we want to highlight some of the programs that are coming up this fall. They're wonderful classes. We want to encourage everyone to give them a try, but we can at least talk a little bit about the kinds of activities that will take place. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the first one. The first one is line dance. I guess that's pretty self-explanatory. And I think you are the instructor for this class, right?
I am the instructor for that class. Line dance really consists of a lot of different things. We will do what's called four-wall dances. That means we'll quarter turn to the left each time we do a routine, and then move we'll face forward and then go around 4 times. And then we'll do one-wall line dances. That means just forward and back, and people like those a lot better than the four-wall, but fun to learn. And often done to upbeat oldies music or to country music. Sure. We'll be doing some country line dancing. We'll be doing, my personal favorite is the red hot salsa.
Oh, yes.
So we do that one in a circle, in a large circle, and that's what we call the circle line dance. So.
And you're not trying to create any difficult step movement kinds of things here. So anybody can come down and do this, even if they haven't had much experience in line dancing?
Exactly, yes. And that's really the purpose of these Feeling Fit Friday classes. We want to introduce people to different types of exercise. And so line dance is fun, and before you know it, the 45 minutes is over and they're ready to go home. So people with balance issues, we just tell them to know your limitations and do what you can do.
Right. And of course, this program is taped in to air in July. So we do want to give you the dates. The first one is July 6th. If it's past that and you're watching this, the next one then is going to be August 24th. So this sounds like lots of fun. So we encourage that. The following week, we go into movement and music. This one really does sound like fun. I know some folks that have taken and been involved in these, and this one is really a fun one, isn't it?
It is. Ruth Davidson Hahn is the instructor for this class, and she is a dancer with great grace and beauty, and so she knows what she's doing. She has her own dance company, and they travel all over, and so it's a great privilege to have her working with us. And she works with people with Alzheimer's and balance issues, and so she really knows her stuff, and she does little snippets of dance in there along with some very dynamic movements, and a lot of fun. People who go to her classes enjoy it a lot.
You've mentioned balance a couple of times. That really
Yes.
is a kind of a mainstay on all of these classes, isn't
Huge.
it?
It's a huge issue, and so we try to focus on different types of movements that will enhance balance and not compromise balance so much. So.
Sure. And let's make sure we give the dates on these, because there's a number of these, July 13th, August 10, and September 7th. So
That's
three more opportunities to be involved in this.
Yes.
Okay, we'll keep moving along. Here is another popular class. It is called Dynamic Movement. We saw a little bit of that at the beginning of the program. Another one that you're pretty involved in. Tell us about dynamic movement.
Well, I trained in New Orleans to do dynamic movement, and when I first
fun.
went to the class, that alone was fun, but when I first went to the class, they were training in a circle, and they called it circle dance, and so I learned that we could do a lot of different things that we were really already doing. We were using paper bags and paper plates and different tools, strength and resistance tools. And so you could incorporate those into your dance routines or into your warm up and cool down routines. So kind of like that idea. And then they do some silly things and some fun things and some partner things. So this dynamic movement really brings everything in. We love that.
In one of the classes that I was in with you, you said, everybody grab a paper bag, and I thought, oh, where in the world is this going? But it turned out to be kind of fun.
And you'll never look at your plastic bags the same.
No, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay, so dynamic movement. That really it's happened a couple of times already, but there's only one more that is left. So July 20th is the date. So if you are interested in that one, you have one more opportunity. Okay, keep moving on. Chair dance. This is kind of a new thing, is it not?
It is. Mitzi Aiden is one of our fitness instructors. She's a personal trainer, but she's taught aerobic dance for years and years, and so she has come up with this chair dance class. And I'll tell you, I took the class the first time she did it, and I was exhausted by the end. So you're going to get a good workout. People think it's for those who are physically challenged, but it's a darn good workout. Now you have the option of doing it seated or standing. So if you have limitations or balance issues, then you can do it from the chair. So
I have a friend who has done some classes just on the chair, and he was amazed at how much work and energy that you put out as a part of that.
Yeah, every muscle group is covered, so don't think the chair is going to make it easier, because you get a good workout.
Okay, and we have a number of these coming up. The first one is a little later in July. It's July 27th, and then we move into August, one time there on August 17th, and one more time in September on September 28th. So if you're interested in chair dance, we encourage you to check it out on one of those 3 days. Okay, so as we head into August, and it is the only time that I see that you're doing this, it's something called Simply Fit. Tell us a little bit about Simply Fit.
Well, we don't have an ongoing class with Simply Fit, but we wanted to show people that that's one of the options we have for possibly the fall. Simply Fit is a class that incorporates all of those tools I talked about. We use our bags and our plates and our resistance bands, and we may use hand weights, and we may use soup cans. We might even use a dog biscuit or two, which we've done in the past in Simply Fit. So I encourage people just to come and check check it out, and there's a few surprises thrown in there.
Now, where did you come up with this or these ideas? Is this something that somebody else is doing, or did you just sit down one time and go, let's grab some soup cans and let's go down and have people?
Well, I've been doing fitness at Aging Partners for about 27 years, and we used to, as a fitness group, do different exercises with different household items. And so we decided we could do a whole routine with our brooms and our bags and our plates, and we just developed programs.
Okay, very good. All right, and the date on that one is August 3rd, so if you're interested in just being simply fit, that's the time to do that. Okay, so movement and music is back on August 10th, chair dance on August 17th, line dancing on August 24th, but there is one that we haven't talked about, and that is Tai Chi, August 31st, something near and dear to our hearts, but you are not going to be teaching this one.
I will not be teaching this one. This is 8-form Tai Chi, and some people may say it's beginning Tai Chi, but it's the 8 basic forms of Tai Chi. And Tai Chi is described as meditation in motion, and so it's slow and easy movements, reaching, and really focusing again on balance and core strength and flexibility.
Yeah, the balance really is a big part of this. There are a number of movements there that lots of people who take this will say that they really feel like it's improved their balance.
Yes, and surprising how really good a workout you get with Tai Chi. So it's an important exercise, and doctors are really recommending it now.
Okay, and so the Tai Chi is going to be a couple of times, August 31st and then on September 21st. And then the last activity that we haven't talked about yet is Qigong. You are teaching that one. It will be on September 14th.
Correct.
It has a lot of similarities to Tai Chi, but it's not a martial art. It's a little different.
It's a meditative practice also, slow moving, but balance enhancing and core strength building. It really focuses on hand and eye coordination, stretching, and really on the breath. We start seated and then move to standing, and the class will actually start our new class in September. So we're excited about having this kind of kickoff class, and anybody can do Qigong. We can do it from a chair, we can do it standing, so I encourage people to come out for that one. I think they're going to like it.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about Qigong is the breathing, and it's very calming, and it's controlling your breath, which I think is everybody needs, helps in that stress.
Yes, absolutely, and we are connected through the Tai Chi and the Qigong classes, and I can see you meditating when you're doing your breathing. It's very important, yes.
Okay, good segue into the fall. So these are the great classes that are coming up this summer, and as you mentioned earlier, one of the really fun things about this is that it's an opportunity for someone to come out and to be able to sort of see what it's like and see if they might like to take the whole class, which I think usually runs about 8 weeks or so. So let's talk about some of the things that are going to be offered. It's a lot of the same kinds of things. Chair dance is going to be new. I think it's the first time this class is going to be offered. Is that correct?
Well, actually, no, we had it this last session. We had a short session of chair dance, and that was done over at the Ald Recreation Center. We had kind of an introductory class with that, and then people will be able to check it out when they come to the Feeling Fit Fridays. So I forgot to mention those classes on Fridays are free also. So
but we do want people to register, right?
We want people to register if they're coming to our series classes, our 8-week or 12-week series classes. So chair dance has been done, but a lot of people don't know about it. So we're hoping more will come and sign up.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, make sure we mention all the ones that are going to be offered. Chair Tai Chi, Qigong, chair dance, dynamic movement, chair yoga is kind of a fun one and a popular one.
Yes, very popular. We have that at our church location, one of our Southview Church, which is near Old Cheney out there. That one is seated for people who can't do the poses standing or going down to the floor to a mat. So these poses are done from a chair. They're really very popular. We have a good following with that.
Okay, and we have several of the Tai Chi. We have the continuing 24 form, we have the beginner's 8 form, and Tai Chi moving for better balance. So we have lots of things to offer folks. if they want to try something, we encourage them to come out and get moving, work on their balance. Anything to keep moving is better.
Yes, we like to think we've got a little bit of everything. So.
Very good. Tracy, thanks for being with us. It's a
Thank
great
you.
program and lots of great classes, and we encourage everybody to come out. Thank you for coming out and talking about them today.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice to see you.
And thank you for tuning in today. We encourage you to check out some of these classes because it's never too late to live and learn.
Legal services are a part of the spectrum of senior services available through our 8 area agencies on aging. Attorneys can assist and educate seniors on consumer credit and debt collection issues, as well as help them plan ahead with advance directives. Attorneys can also help seniors with consumer fraud and financial exploitation concerns, and also guide them through government benefit issues. For more information, contact the Elder Access Line at 800-527-7249.
Hi, I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we have a very special guest with us today, Jon Keller. He's a professor of photography at not only Ollie, teaching classes at Ollie, but at Doane University. We're going to learn a lot more about photography today. He's also the author of Ask Dr. Photo. There's the guy right there. No, and his pictures, yeah, you've seen his pictures. It's been in the Lincoln Journal-Star. His pictures grace the cover of the Lincoln Journal-Star very, very often. And it's so interesting how you do that. How do you actually, this is John Downey, our wonderful director of the Lincoln Children's Zoo. How do you select the covers that you're going to do?
Lita, actually, Mark Swaninger, the editor of Elle magazine, picks most of the covers. Occasionally he'll ask me to pick a cover. The cover that we did a couple of years ago of the yoga in the park, for example, I got together all of the yoga instructors in Lincoln and we did a shoot down there. The Parks and Rec kindly gave me 2 Sundays in a row in case it rained.
It looked like it rained there. Ridiculous. But did you shoot the pictures and then he decides which ones he wants to use, is that correct?
He'll generally go with the ones that I edit and send to him.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Now, being seniors, we know how technology has changed so dramatically. This is my camera, and John is telling me that this camera will no longer be around in less than 2 years. So how are we getting adjusted to all of this fancy stuff, John?
Lita, in 1980, I started with this old Nikon film camera. Since then, I've upgraded to a significantly higher tech camera, also by Nikon. But I think for seniors that don't want to do bird photography or don't want to do professional photography, they might go with a cell phone, or they might go with a little interchangeable lens camera. And this particular one will go 90 feet underwater. It'll go through storms, but it's easy to use. It's a point and shoot. You can change lenses, or you can just put it in fully automatic and fire away.
Well, how are we going to learn the technology to do these? I mean, you got such fancy stuff here. How do we know? This is a point and shoot. You know, I'll say, oh, smile for the camera.
Lincoln's own Ollie program offers wonderful photography classes.
And Doane University also.
At Doane University.
At Doane University. Okay. Well, now one of the real important things is many of us have old pictures of our family, and we never knew how to preserve them properly, and so some of them are in pretty bad shape. So how do you go about restoring some of these old pictures that are so important to a family?
Lita, that's a problem in this age. However, it's never been easier to store old photos. I think those of us that used to have pictures that we kept under our bed in shoe boxes
still got those.
know the problem of that, and that's going to be a problem in the digital age also if we don't do something to keep them either on permanent archival CDs or DVDs or backed up on external drives. This is a picture my grandmother took of my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather in 1922, and that's the original scan. And if you note down there a little bit out of the frame, it says the 3 doctors. She had prescribed what my father was going to grow up and be, which he did. The restored picture is actually this one. So now we can see the lace, and it was just scanned in on a regular home flatbed scanner, edited a little bit in Photoshop.
Well, how did you make it so bright?
I increased the contrast a little bit and sharpened it a bit.
That's remarkable. Oh, because I know many of us have those old pictures and we don't know what to do with them, and people have passed on, So to be able to restore them, but we couldn't do it ourselves. Would we take it someplace to get it
You
done?
can take it to any one of a number of places in town, or you can do scanning. We talk about scanning in our OLLI classes, actually.
I remember reading a very important book, which won a Pulitzer Prize, The Things They Carried. It was about the Vietnam War. And I thought about Jon in terms of the stuff that he carries. You see his vest. It's loaded with all the technology that he really needs. Would you explain what you've carried, my dear?
Well, actually, since I'm going more towards cell phone photography now, I have several lenses that just clip on. And this is, for example, is a small telephoto lens. It's easy to clip on. It magnifies 2 times.
You put that on your cell phone?
I put that on my cell phone. And this actually, Lita, you had mentioned about your camera. I think this type of photography will replace this type of photography within the next year or 2, in my opinion.
But it's a question of our, as seniors, keeping up with it and, understanding how to do it. So we really have to learn, because I think it's pretty complicated. What was most fascinating when he sent me these pictures so that we could take a look at them was he can insert himself into the pictures. So explain to us, we'll take an example of a couple of pictures and tell us how on earth you did that.
There are a couple of ways of doing it. There's the old self-timer method where we can run as fast as we can in 10 seconds or 2 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever we have the self-timer set for, or we can get a wireless remote. And this happened to be a wireless remote picture that I took. I'm sitting the second from the left in the second row up in my pink shirt.
You've got like a pinkish, a pinkish shirt there and a beard.
A beard.
And a white beard. Now, okay, you put yourself in that photo.
And if you look carefully, you can see on my lap I'm holding a wireless remote, which for us birding photographers is a very nice device because you can hook it up to any kind of camera, from a Nikon D5300 all the way up through a professional camera, almost down to a cell phone, and take a picture up to a quarter of a mile away. Great for selfies, great for birds.
Now, I think you have another picture also of you and your wife, where you were actually sitting and talking, and yet she's in the picture with you. This is the one.
And this I like to refer to as my toe remote. I put the wireless remote under my big toe, took my shoe off, and took the picture with that.
Okay, why don't you tell us about the difference between the cell phones and regular cameras?
Cell phones 3 or 4 years ago were basically point-and-shoot cameras. Now they have the same adjustments, with the exception of the lens settings, that any of the big cameras have. So we can do editing on our cell phone. We can do all sorts of edits that we want to make a picture better with.
But you need a computer then in order to be able to...
It can all be done on the phone, or it can be done on an iPad. As a matter of fact, if we can cut to the iPad here, these are the apps that are on a traditional iPad. There's a wonderful little editing program called Snapseed, which is free. And here's a picture of my studio downtown. This was edited actually right on the iPad. Program's called Snapseed. It's free. 3 years ago it was $30. Now Amazon's bought it and made it free to the public. Very easy to use. You can edit a picture. You can send it to your son in China. You can send it wherever you'd like.
My goodness. I'm just in awe. Well, why don't you show us some of the cameras that you have and what they're capable of doing?
Okay, this is actually a little point-and-shoot camera. Very easy to use. It doesn't have a viewfinder. For seniors that want an easy-to-use camera, it's got the back LCD screen. It's got a fully automatic setting. If you drop it in water, it won't get damaged. If you take it in the cold, it won't get damaged, and you can change lenses on it. For those of you that want something a little bigger, we've got a fully adjustable camera that's high resolution for people who aspire to be a wedding photographer, a portrait photographer, or a nature photographer. This is probably the way we still want to go. Cell phones still can't do that. And the small point-and-shoot cameras like this still can't do that. The lenses are not quite good enough, and they don't shoot in high enough resolution.
We're talking some expense in these cameras, aren't we? I mean,
$1,000.
He grimaced at that point. Yeah. Well, what approximately, some of these big cameras, fancy cameras, what would they cost?
Well, with the lens, they can go up to $10,000.
Oh dear, oh dear.
or more.
You're pretty good at taking wildlife pictures too. Will you tell us about how some of the things that you do in the extraordinary, like where on earth did that bird come from?
Actually, this was a bird that was down at Corkscrew Swamp in Florida. I went to visit my mother 2 months ago for her birthday, and we went out and took some pictures of birds. This is a white egret. One of the birds that I've been trying to chase down for 4 years is lovingly referred to as the snake bird, or it's an anhinga. And these birds fully submerge, catch a fish, and come up and dry themselves off after they've eaten the fish.
Now, okay, this is the blackbird. This is the
That's the anhinga.
Anhinga. And where'd you shoot that?
That's also in Corkscrew Swamp in Florida.
Oh, okay. Now, all right. Since we're seniors, what kind of cameras do you recommend for us?
I honestly think the cell phone is the way to go. And I say that without any reservation. 4 years ago, when I was asked to teach a cell phone photography class for the Ollie program, I chuckled under my breath. I don't do that anymore. They take beautiful pictures. They're good for capturing pictures of family. They're good for capturing pictures of wildlife if you can get close enough.
Mm-hmm. Any particular brand that you recommend? Because I see you have Nikons. Are you all?
Well, I'm partial to Nikon for big cameras. I think Apple does a very good job. If you're talking ease of use for seniors, Apple has a nice technology because you can send pictures back and forth between iPads, iPhones, and computers without any great deal of work.
Well, what's wrong with my little Canon? I had one just like this before, which I thought took pretty good pictures, but somebody ran over it with their car, so I had to get a new one. And they had said to me at the store that this is not going to be around for very long.
No. I think cell phone technology has caught up with that.
I mean, as long as it works.
Keep it as long as it works.
Until it just dies.
Yes. The repairs wouldn't be worth it, though, if you have to get it fixed.
Oh, really? They're worth more than the camera it costs. Well, we've learned a heck of a lot here. Oh, my goodness, John. I think we all better take your Ollie classes and your Doane University classes.
Would love
because
to have you.
it's for seniors, right?
It's for seniors.
It's for seniors. And so we'll learn what we're doing because we're getting behind the times, I'm afraid. But how delightful that you would come in here and show all this stuff. And have we seen all of your pictures now that we brought along?
Well, for residents of Lincoln, there are no finer places than 125 parks in Lincoln City. And one of my favorites is Holmes Lake. My wife and I take walks down there regularly. This is a picture I took 2 or 3 autumns ago.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And it's just wonderful scenes, wonderful places to take pictures of families, of nature.
And insert yourself into the picture, standing right by that tree. Well, our thanks to you, Jon. Jon Keller, photographer at Doane University and Ollie at the University of Nebraska. And remember, it's never too late for you to live and learn more about the advancing technology.
And we're back at the home of Maria Wright, who just scored major points by recycling. Let's go to replay. Look, there's a package.
Nick, starting April 1st, corrugated cardboard. See that ripple? It must be kept out of the trash. It's not garbage.
Both the garbage can and the recycling bin are open. Maria takes it to the bin. It's good!
Maria uses easy curbside pickup, but you can recycle for free at any public drop-off site.
Join the team.
And take it to the bin. Learn more at recycle.lincoln.ne.gov.
Hello, I'm Bill Ainsley, your host for this segment of Live and Learn. As we age, we want to live confidently at home. We want to know that we can get help if we fall, get hurt, or just plain don't feel well. And there are ways to do just that. It can be just as easy as pushing a button, and you don't have to be old or feeble. Today I want to welcome to the program Aging Partners, Lifeline Specialist Suzanne Frazier and Frances King, who uses the Lifeline service.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Suzanne, what exactly is Lifeline?
Lifeline is what we refer to as a PERS system, which is an acronym for Personal Emergency Response System. It's just a basic way of being able to push a button to get help when you need it.
I know there are 3 levels of service, and we'll get to each of these in a few minutes. But first, there are 9 questions to answer to help you decide if you need Lifeline. 1. Are you alone for several hours during the day and night? 2. In the past year, have you fallen or been afraid of falling in your home? 3. Have you been hospitalized or been to the emergency room in the past year? 4. Do you have at least one of these chronic ailments? Heart disease, stroke, COPD, osteoporosis, diabetes, or arthritis? 5. Do you use a cane, walker, wheelchair, stair climber, or other assistive device to help with balance or walking? 6. Are you required to take several daily medications? 7. Do you require assistance with at least one of the following activities? Bathing, toileting, dressing, meal preparations, etc. Would a medical alert device provide peace of mind for your loved ones? Is it important, this is number 9, is it important for you to continue living independently? Suzanne, how would someone use these questions to decide if Lifeline is right for them?
We mail out this checklist from Philips sort of as your personal assessment to check yes or no, and then to take a look at how many no's and how many yeses on your sheet. If you have, say, 2 to 3 yeses, well, you're probably not quite there yet. 3 to 5 should be a serious consideration. If you're 6 or more yeses on that checklist, we suggest you seriously look at maybe I should have something to assist when, and especially for those who are living alone. And the biggest response that I get when they inquire about the service is my family is on me. My family is concerned because I'm alone or recently widowed comes into play, and they are more comfortable knowing that if mom or dad are there by themselves, with the push of a button, they can get some help if need be.
Now the folks at home have taken the quiz, added up the yes answers, and decided that they want this service. They have some choices to make, both with the level of service and equipment. First, let's talk about the basic service. Suzanne,
Right.
What are the features?
Your basic service is a communicator that looks like this. It's a two-way speaker box. This is basic service for someone who still has a landline telephone, and it's coverage for in your home and immediate yard only. Basically, we bring it out, connect it up to share your phone line, and we plug it into power, and you have a basic button that you can either around the neck or around the wrist. You have the option of your wearable style. All of the buttons are waterproof. They should be worn in the bath and the shower. The basic concept, once we get you all set up, you depress the button, you hear the communicator go off and say, your help call is in progress, please wait, while it's dialing to the Philips Response Center. Then it will say your call has been connected. The Response Center will come on, call the person by name, and ask if they need help. At that point, the subscriber is in control of what action is taken to assist them, whether they want 911 or whether they want what we refer to as a responder contacted. In our program, you can have up to 3 responders. That would be family, neighbor, friend. These people are to be used in a non-emergency situation. They would just instruct the response center to call Betty, my daughter, and they would have that person's number and would contact them for the subscriber.
So even though it is basic, it still costs money every month. These fees are in addition to your regular phone bill. So the cost for the basic monthly charges are $35 a month.
Correct.
And if you want the fall alert, that's an additional $12 a month.
Right.
But as they say in some ads, but wait, there's more. If the basic doesn't meet your needs, you can get more with the wireless service. It operates along with your cell service. So Suzanne, please discuss the wireless service.
This is the wireless for those people who no longer have their landline. All they have is cell service. We can still provide you with coverage in your home with this communicator by just plugging it into power. You still have the 2 options of the button around the wrist or around the neck. It's just that we don't need a phone line for it to function. And whoever your cell coverage is with does not come into play. We are just going to use your telephone number and associate it with a serial number onto the communicator. But it would work the same way. You depress the button, you would hear the speaker on the wireless communicator saying that your help call is now in progress. They come on, and the procedure is the same. Do you need help? And you instruct the response center what action you want to be taken.
So even though it is called wireless, that doesn't mean that there aren't wires and
Correct.
even more equipment to demonstrate. And as I said earlier, this costs money every month in addition to your regular phone bill. So the wireless monthly charges are $45, and if you want the fall alert, that is an extra $12 per month.
Correct.
For the fall alert. Maybe you decide you want to go someplace, you want to take a big trip, you want to go to the grocery store or the park, or you're going hundreds and hundreds of miles away on vacation. There's a Go Safe program, and that might be just what you need. It can protect you almost anywhere in the country. So Suzanne, would you talk about the Go Safe program, please?
The Go Safe is just exactly that. You go safely. You basically still have a home-based communicator so that when you are in your home and ask for help, they can talk to you through the two-way speaker. Once you leave home and go anywhere in Lincoln, Omaha, basically in the continental United States, your button will provide you coverage. You have, and it's going to be this one, and it is kind of like self-service. You periodically have to charge it, but it works the same way. It comes with the fall alert detection, and with the technology of when you are away from home, it'll have the GPS tracking and Wi-Fi to locate where you are. You push the button, and this is the only button that they will talk to you through the button if you're away from home and locate your position.
So the Go Safe program costs more, but
Yes.
includes more. And as before, these charges are in addition to your regular phone bill. So the Go Safe charges are $55 monthly. That includes the fall alert, but you also have to pay for the button, which costs $149 one time. The Lifeline service is very important to the peace of mind of your friends and family, and especially to you when you need it. So one of the people to whom it is very important is Frances King, who uses the service. Frances, what type of service do you have?
I have this service here.
That's the Go Safe program?
And it's a peace of mind, because I have fallen 2 or 3 times. And if my daughter hadn't have been there, I wouldn't have had anybody to help me. So I like it for that reason. I also, if I'm there alone, which I am most of the time because she works, it's just a pleasure to know that if I have to have something, that I can go ahead and push my little button here, which I wear around my neck, and it's just good to have. It's peace of mind. I know I can go anywhere. I can wear it to church, mostly to where I wear it. I take a little ride. Sometimes I'm on a little scooter. I keep mine on 24 hours a day, except when I take it off to charge it, which is about every other day I charge mine. I have 2 friends. I have my daughter that knows about this system, and then his wife. I call them my adopted children. She has one of the things that if I had to have help, well, I could call either. The system would call either one of those for me. I like it, and I recommend it to anybody that, especially when they get my age. I think they should have it and use it, because it's helpful, and I wouldn't do without it anymore.
So Frances, what does it mean to you to have that call button?
it's peace of mind. Because I know that if I do fall or something, I know that I have help. I even know that if I fall and can't push the button, that the system allows me to hear them, for them to hear me and contact me.
And Frances, what does having the service mean to your family?
Well, to Annette, who I live with, it's a peace of mind for her, because she knows that if something would happen to me, that I have the power to listen, for her to listen to me, and that would be good help immediately. It takes about maybe 5 minutes for them to come out to you when you call 911.
And the Lifeline program, though, is not for everyone. Suzanne, please tell us about the few restrictions.
The one restriction we do have, Philips being a medical company in their own, the Go Safe, the only people that are not candidates for the mobile button currently are if they have a cardiac implant of a pacemaker, defibrillator, or even an insulin pump. Mm-hmm. They kind of frown on not providing that to those type of people because of the length that Frances wears this, the wiring in the button and the wiring in the chest. They don't want that to complicate. And at this point, they leave it up to your cardiologist, but they prefer we not offer it to those people. But otherwise, those are the only restrictions I have. And I'd like to reiterate with one thing I thought about with Frances. Yes, she doesn't live alone. She lives with her daughter, but her daughter's not there all the time. Mm-hmm. And so even if you do live with family, there are times that you may need that assistance.
True. And if you'd like more information about the Lifeline program, contact Suzanne Frazier, Frasier, Aging Partners Lifeline Specialist, 402-441-8816, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So Frances and Suzanne, I want to thank you for being with us today. We've discovered many ways to stay safe when you're home or away from home today. And when you're safe, it's never too late to live and learn.
Vulnerable and senior adults might be living in silent fear of elder abuse and financial exploitation. We can do something about it. The Nebraska DHHS recommends that communities maintain and improve resources such as public transportation and senior centers to prevent social isolation. Engage professionals in various disciplines to find solutions to end elder abuse. Every year, June 15 is observed as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, an opportunity to ensure justice for all.
Meaningful teaching and insightful learning is what the Vietnam Poetry Project is all about. I'm Kristen Stows, and I'm pleased to introduce my guests who use this unique approach to study the Vietnam War. Chris Maley, English Department Chair at Lincoln High School, and one of the student participants, Jack Buchanan. Welcome to Live and Learn.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here today. Chris, let me hear about your background and how that influenced your interest in a project that had to do with veterans.
Sure. I was born and raised in Lincoln and grew up in a family of veterans, some serving in World War II, some in the Vietnam War experience. So you were always around those narratives. Mm-hmm. And then as a teacher, especially in this day and age, the students born into this new century are very far removed from these experiences.
That is true.
And so I found myself recounting some of my own narratives from my childhood as we study these elements from the past.
I see. So it was a natural.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. This particular project then established a connection between your English students and Vietnam veterans. How did this come about?
Well, this is all due to the hard work of Martha Florence at NET. She met with me almost over a year ago and had an idea. Ken Burns was releasing the Vietnam documentary through PBS, and she knew she was going to be traveling around the States and working with veterans. And so she's really the one who saw the opportunity of expanding the scope of it, and she wanted to know what I thought about having students interview veterans
Mm-hmm.
and write about it.
Sure.
And so the idea was all hers, and
Okay.
I immediately jumped on board with the concept.
And there's a bit of a collaboration with Lincoln Community Foundation for a grant as well?
Yeah, grant money came in, and she was able to raise the funds to facilitate meetings between the veterans and the students.
I love that. I
Yeah.
really do. So I believe there were 9 students involved, correct? What was the stated goal of the project?
The stated goal of the project was interesting because we were kind of inventing it as we went along. I mean,
Okay.
ultimately, it was to teach more about the experience, but also there was this writing component, and that was kind of the blind spot. I knew the students could have conversations, I knew that they could process, but when it came to the writing piece, that was sort of the uncharted waters of where we were going with this. And so ultimately we wanted students to channel these dialogues and these new connections into something they could be proud of, but also something audiences and readers could learn from.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I understand. How were the Vietnam veterans chosen and then paired with your students?
Yeah, Martha really worked on the veteran end of connecting.
Okay.
So she was working with veterans, traveling throughout the state, doing dialogues, and so she had 9 that she knew would be willing to share their stories and work with these young people. And then my task was to find students at Lincoln High to be paired. And so we were talking about things like ethnicity, gender, interests, and trying to get the best matches that we could for students and veterans.
It sounds wonderful. Jack, let me bring you in on this conversation. I understand this process was all done outside of class time, which certainly indicates an additional dedication from you. Why did you want to take part in the process?
I really just wanted to learn firsthand. We learn about the Vietnam War in history, and it's kind of the most recent war that we really study and really get to know, where there are people still alive that we can talk to. So when I had the opportunity to find some firsthand experience, I was very excited and took it.
I think that's wonderful. Who was the veteran then that you were paired with?
His name was Vincent.
Okay, and what was Vincent's story, and how did you proceed through this project process with him?
Vincent has a very interesting story. In my poem, I say he has a life fit for an Oscar. Vincent his uncle was a Tuskegee airman, and it really inspired him to fly in the military. But instead of joining the Air Force, he joined the Army and flew helicopters for the Army. So he flew troop transports, and he would take troops in and out different locations. He also flew attack helicopters and all sorts of,
Amazing. So you sat down and you actually interviewed him then, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you wrote poetry and you actually had a stage presentation at the end of the process.
Yes.
Okay, all right. An important aspect of this project was actually sitting down with the veteran and looking the veteran in the eyes as he told you his story. What was that like, and how did you feel about that as Vincent was telling you this very personal story?
It was deeply moving. Rarely do we get the opportunity to sort of talk about such personal topics in such a setting where it's appropriate, where I felt, because he did not know me for very long. It had been an hour beforehand. So we both kind of made an unspoken agreement that we were really trying to get at things that he felt he needed to be said, and things that I wanted to hear from him. So.
What was his demeanor as he spoke?
He was not timid at all about this topic. He felt, I talk about in the piece how important it is to bear witness, and I feel like his willingness to discuss, everything that he did over there felt,
Yes, I can imagine that must have been very emotional just sitting and hearing that story. What were your feelings about the project before you started it, and then again after it was all over? Did they tend to change during that time?
I don't think they changed much. I mean, the whole goal for me getting into this was to learn, and that's what I felt I did.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So then after the interviews, you staged an event where all of these poems were read to the veterans and their families, I'm guessing, huh? And that I just think that had to be so meaningful. How did you feel about that event itself?
It felt cathartic. I mean, all this work that we had put towards understanding and my thoughts on it, I felt like me and Vincent kind of worked towards a piece that could really develop some feeling and some truth behind what he was feeling. So.
Cathartic, I think that's a perfect word.
Yeah, and one of the takeaways that was interesting is because we had 9 students and 9 veterans, that presentation component really illuminated the fact that there were so many varying degrees of experiences.
Yes.
And it was a really, I think, effective way at getting at different levels of narrative, from medical aspects to combat aspects to what it was like to come home. All of the pieces, there's very little replication in terms of what they were trying to say. And so for something as complicated as war, but something as complicated as the Vietnam War, I thought it did just a small bit of justice to showing a wide swath of experience that we may not typically get to hear.
I'm sure. I'm sure that's very true. Was there anything that surprised you along this process that you didn't expect?
I don't know about surprises so much as there was an intensity to the project that arrived when it came time to write.
Okay. And
from my vantage point, working with young people of that task was pretty daunting.
I bet.
If there was another school wanting to do something similar, my advice would be that there's something daunting about approaching something that will be shared on a broader scale. And I think that's really great because it gave the students an opportunity to write for a much bigger purpose.
Much bigger, yes.
And so the stakes were much higher, and their pieces were fantastic.
Yes. Well, now this is slam poetry. Could you please give us a brief definition of what slam poetry is?
Well, I'll defer to the expert.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, participated in the slam poetry program at my school for 4 years.
Okay.
Slam poetry was made in Chicago by Mark Smith, I think, and it was poetry at the time. Readings were just like super long, and there was no structure to it. It was just like people would go up there with binders of work and just read for hours and hours and hours. So he kind of wanted to develop a way to force people to condense their ideas, and so it was more accessible for an audience.
I see. Okay.
So he invented a competition style of poem where there were rules. They had to be 3 minutes, and they had to. So it really forced poets at the time to be more impactful with their work. It's more about the performance than it is. While the writing is important, it's about that. Yeah.
All right. Well, when you write, I'm just interested. Does your poetry just flow out of you, or is it a more deliberate process when you sit down to actually write this poem?
For this poem specifically, it was a very deliberate process.
Okay.
I had taken notes when I interviewed Vincent, and I had to sort of ruminate on the emotions and feelings that I had during our conversation.
So what was the most important thing for you to bring out during your poetry in terms of making Vincent's story known?
I think that the most important thing was the uncertainty. The piece is called Do I Tell You? Because I was really confused as to where my place was in hearing this, how I was supposed to communicate, what I was supposed to communicate. So I kept going back to that question, like, what do I tell these people? What do I tell them? So I just wrote that.
All right. Well, we are anxious to hear an excerpt from your poem,
right.
if you would like to share.
Do I tell his story? How he spent 6 months on assignments that had life expectancies of weeks protecting cousins, COs, and grunts from bullies and bullets. Being captured and crash landing, front row seats to headshots and violence that stains memories, fistfights with the Air Force. Do I tell you how the helicopter pilots used to think of one-liners to crash to, like, tell Medivac to bring a dustpan, this is going to be a bad one? Do I tell you what it meant to be a black officer? According to Vincent, it was nothing special. He told me, the first thing you see when I approach you from a distance is that I am a man. Then you see my uniform, my rank, then you see my skin. Do I tell you these things? Do I tell you what I learned from them? The latter option seems not to be my place. That's the next one.
Oh, that's excellent. That's just excellent. So after you presented this poem, what did Vincent say about what you had written?
He said, you got it right. You did it. And I was like, thanks, Vincent. It's very fulfilling.
Well, that's wonderful. And Chris, what kind of comments did you hear, and how is this accepted by all of the veterans?
You know, it was interesting because there was an energy that came out of the presentations, both from the veterans, the students, and the audience. And what I took away more than anything else was the need for a venue, for a place where these experiences can be shared. And the patrons who attended the presentation were very grateful that the moment happened and they were able to experience all these elements. And we have to, the students and I have to really respect what the veterans had done for us, which was to give us a really incredible learning gift. To take the time, many drove from Omaha and drove in, and the hours to present this gift to us was really, really, I don't know that words can really describe that aspect. And so the takeaway was this collaborative process presented a learning experience, but really a gratitude that existed over many lines. And when you can collaborate to create something that everyone takes away an appreciation for, I think is time well spent.
It's just fabulous, very, very much so, yes. We are going to be putting on screen the YouTube link so our viewers can access that for more information about this wonderful project. And as we do that, I would just like to hear a last word from each of you on what you feel this project has truly accomplished.
For me, I feel like this project has really shown a lot of students how to communicate more effectively, how to learn when you're presented with these opportunities, and just some real critical thinking.
Okay, all right. Chris?
For me as an English teacher, it taught me that conversation, very critical listening and note-taking and processing can create some really profound writing, and that the writing process and the learning process can be very engaging and can reach out into our community in ways that are really striking.
I congratulate both of you as well as all of the other students that took part in this project. I think it's just so well done, and it's wonderful when education can be so enlightening. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And this should remind all of us that it is never, ever too late to live and learn.